Just when it comes to those things, do you feel like there's a specific need for this team? And secondly, how does that process between you and Eric go just in terms of need versus what might be available in a good group?
Right, well, that's a really broad and good question, because specific need, what level of need, is kind of what it comes down to. You're talking about degrees. Do we have a specific overarching, like, we have to have guy? No, we have an excellent roster. Love our players. We have guys who are getting healthy that will be coming off IR even, like Owings, for instance, and guys like that. So I love our guys. I think we have everything we need to be successful. At the same time, if an opportunity came to bring in somebody that can help us and make us better, in any area really, but certain areas more than others, of course, and then you can do it in a way that was affordable to the team and the club, cap-wise, draft pick-wise, those kind of things, you would do it. You would do it to try to get better. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Eric and his group is working through that. I'm just meeting with Eric just now about some of those things, and it's a possibility. It's not easy making trades in this league. I mean, it's just not. It's not. Maybe some sports it is. I don't know. I've never been into a sport, but it's just not. You don't see as many trades in football. We've made a few the last few years. I think Eric's done a great job with that. And if there's one to be made that would help us, I'm sure he'll pull it off. If not, then we'll be happy with what we have, because we have a great team, we feel like.
John, we heard from a lot of the defensive leaders after the game that they felt like they had not played up to their standard. What was your sense of what they meant by that? Do you think they were talking about, some of those drives they gave up in the fourth quarter? What was your sense of what they were saying when they said that?
That was that, yeah. I mean, I think we wanted to finish the game and shut them out and not give up we were playing against the clock as much as we were against the offense in the fourth quarter, so we were very vanilla with the call. I mean, we had the same call probably 15 times in a row or so, and that's okay. But the idea was that we were certainly going to try to win the game. I mean, it's a two-score game in different ways there, so you want to make sure that you just don't want to give them the game. You don't want to have something happen that just hands them the game. You want to win the game. And it's really not about style points at that point. So, but I also feel like we have a lot of pride. We have pride as players, we have pride as coaches, and we want to put the best. We want to get every stop, and that's exactly what we're talking about, I think.
John, what has been your assessment of your special team this season? You've made a lot of good plays, and there's a lot of positives, but it seems almost every week there's a lapse or something that needs to be worked on.
Right. Well, there's always something that needs to be worked on. Special teams have a lot of experience with it. The expectation is that all 6 phases are going to win. You're talking about 6 different phases, and it's pretty hard to bat 1,000 in 6 different phases and have every special teams phase either push or win every snap. I think we've done that a lot. I mean, we've had a ton of success, and the standard is really, really high, and that's good. We want the standard to be super high. The standard's probably higher here than anywhere in the league if you look at it over the last number of years. So that's awesome, and we chase that standard for sure. We played a very good special teams game yesterday. Our kickoff, one kickoff got inside the 20. We had 4 punts, I think, inside the 10. Our net punt was 47, 48. It's pretty unbelievably good. Punt return, we were 3 for 30, a 10-yard average, and half of our calls were fake defense calls. We were playing safe punt return because they were in fake type of territory or fake down and distance. So, and we still had those return yards against a really good punt cover team. Kickoff return didn't get any chances, and the one you're talking about is the onside kick, where that was the one we need to, in this game, play better. I mean, what happened was, and I talked to the kicker afterwards. I congratulated him on the kick because it's supposed to be a high hopper. It came up low and short. And we just need to be aggressive on that and go get it right now. And we hesitated. He who hesitates is lost. An onside kick recovery, obviously, and it bounced. So and the second one was the exact same kick, and we went and got it. So that's how it went. And I think it's like anything else. It's a battle. I think our special teams overall is playing at a high level, but we will keep chasing perfection and try to make every play. It's either a push or a plus. That's what we go for.
John, it's sometimes a little unusual for interior linemen to rack up huge sack totals. What do you attribute, I guess, Madubuike's season to so far? And when he and Pierce are also able to rush the passer like they were yesterday, how much does it add to the defense in total?
Right. Well, yeah, he's having a great year. I mean, I guess you first attribute Justin's great year to Justin. I mean, he's playing great. He's talented. He works hard. He's steadily coming here from the beginning and steadily worked hard to become the kind of player he is. I really think he's having just a top-notch year. Begins to run, chase the ball down, obviously, and pass rush. And so it's what he's doing, plus I think the other guys. The other guys spread out. You've got guys who are pressuring from every different direction. Defensive ends, inside guys, linebackers, safeties, corners, nickel, getting sacks. That kind of helps everybody. It's kind of like the rising tide raises all ships. So, but he deserves the credit for that.
John, we can see yesterday that Odell was really trying to get the ball and maybe not a lot of reception, but still impact in how he was able to draw flags and get defensive attention. Is that a special quality in terms of what he's done for your team so far, and just drawing the attention and even drawing the odd flag when you guys need a play?
It really is. I mean, Odell's super talented, very determined. Really has a high standard for himself. Really works hard. And I really think that it's kind of indicative of kind of like his reputation. It's like they don't know who he is. They know he's number 3, and they do not want to give up a completion to him. And he's being covered that way, and he draws 2 huge defensive pass interference calls. Now, Odell and Lamar and all of us want those to be catches, but pass interference is the same as a catch in this league, almost. A touchdown would be a touchdown. You got to put it to 1. You got to go score. That's the difference. It's the only difference. So I was happy with the way he played. I was happy with the fact that he was targeted. Then he got hit in the ribs on the sideline play and had to go out for a walk. Came back in. Didn't really get targeted too much, but did get the one big play, pass interference. But was blocking well, which you probably didn't see. So he's playing really well. And I just think that it's gonna pop, and he's gonna start getting some big catches for us.
Do you get, go ahead.
Do you get the sense that he's a guy who beats himself up a little bit when he has a day where he doesn't have catches, even though he clearly did do things that helped the team yesterday?
I don't know. It'd be a good question for him, but I think he really wants to get catches, and he really wants to be a big factor in the game. That's what he's used to. He's a world-class player, world-class athlete, and that's the kind of expectation that he has for himself. Sure.
Along those lines, I don't know if you'd seen he got the second PI that he drew. He was upset on the sideline, and I'm just curious if that was the frustration of not getting the catch, obviously, pass interference, or if it was if there was any miscommunication, or just him being the guy who obviously was trying to make a play there.
I think it's the last part.
Yeah.
Just wants to make plays. That's what he wants to do, and you appreciate that. I talked to him actually. He wasn't mad at anybody. Just he wants to make plays and wants to do great. His son was in the stand. First time playing in front of his young son there, in Arizona. So how it goes. That's how guys are.
Just curious, your thoughts on Kevin Zeitler's kind of record that he set yesterday, beating all 32 teams. Just your take on that, and then also the interior offensive line seems to be playing at a really high level right now. Just what you're seeing from that group as they kind of gel together and stay healthy.
Yeah, agree. I mean, they're playing really well, and I think we're getting better and better. You saw the inside interior run game really come alive in the second half. That was something we've been working really hard on. And then with that, Lamar got outside a couple times on some keepers late in the game. When we called those, Kevin getting the all-time, only one of 3 ever to have that kind of an opportunity. He said the Cardinals have been elusive for him the last few years, which is kind of fun. But I don't know how many people can say they beat every team in the league, especially an offensive line. That's pretty cool.
In terms of what he brings into leadership quality, I talked to a couple of the O-line guys like Tyler Linderbaum and said that his work ethic in particular is something that really stands out about him. I know he's only been here for a couple of seasons, but what have you seen from him in terms of work ethic?
I'm sorry, who was that?
Kevin Zeitler.
Oh yeah, Kevin, thanks. You know what? It is. I mean, he's a leader in a kind of a really kind of interesting ways. First of all, by work ethic. This guy, you can't believe how he practices. I mean, he's the guy that does the pass sets when his wife's having a baby in the hospital. You've seen that, right? And that's how he kind of is all the time. He's just on his craft all the time. But more than that, like he's a leader by relationship. Like he has the guys over to his house. He has them by the pool. They have, I don't know what they eat, probably a lot, but they have a lot of fun, and he kind of leads that way, which is really kind of neat. So he does it by relationship and by example. I would say.
John, a lot of people are calling it the Michael Pierce game yesterday. He played so well, and so many plays stood out. But when you watch him over the course of game to game, and you go back and watch film more closely, what kind of things show up that you see that maybe we don't see?
Well, game to game, he's played very consistently, Bo, so it's kind of been like that. And then this game, the consistent play paid off in these opportunities to make these huge plays. So he's been doing the same thing without having the chance to actually make those plays sometimes. Sometimes he can push down to somebody else or cut back. And then the sacks and the pressures. He's been playing all year. He's having a great year. I think he's doing a great job. It's nice to see it, kind of pay off in a huge game for him like that.
John, about a year since Roquan Smith came to the team, what did you know about specifically his leadership or communication before he arrived? And based on kind of reputation or whatever you knew going in, has he exceeded those expectations that you had?
Right. With Rowe, you knew from the college draft, that's what they all said about him in Georgia. And then Chicago, you talk to people who played for the Bears, people in the organization, coaches, and that's kind of what they said about him too. That he's a leader and all the things that you've seen. But you don't know exactly, and you don't really hear it to the extent, I don't think. I mean, people maybe they don't want to tell you too much either. Then he comes here and he's, I don't know, sometimes it's a good fit too. Like he comes in here and it's kind of like, this place really fits him, I think. I think he'd probably tell you that. It's kind of it fits his personality, his style. He's been a great fit. I think it's one of the all-time great trades that we made. I think the Bears did it. Nothing against the Bears. They got a good pick out of it, and they made it. Salary cap and all the stuff that they got out of it. It's probably going to be undersold a little bit, but in the end, you'll see how it pays off for him. But maybe it was a win-win. But it's definitely a win for us.
John, we talk so much about these trade deadline deals, the potential for them. You've been around the league a long time. How rare do you think it is for a guy to come in like that midway through a season and have the breadth of impact that Roquan said?
Yeah, it's probably pretty rare. I mean, no doubt about Charles. I mean, I don't really keep track of that stuff, but I don't really remember too many of those. So I'd say it's a pretty big deal.
John, on the broadcast, it looked like players were slipping and struggling with field conditions. Is that something that you noticed? And when you do notice on something, is that something that you have to account for in play calling, for better or for worse?
I think it's the player's responsibility to kind of work on that as much as they can. You can't really overthink it from a play calling standpoint. You have to account for it with the cleats, and the guys understanding that in situations. I think I saw a couple rain games. Wasn't the Pittsburgh game rainy?
Yeah.
Stormy. So you got to keep your feet underneath yourself as an athlete. And our guys did a good job for the most part. There was a few plays where we slipped, no doubt. It wasn't, it's a different kind of grass. They bring it in. It's nice. It was good, safe field, but it's a little slicker. We had the top 9 practice field. It was way slicker than that. So I thought, that was good practice for us on the slick field. They adjusted from Wednesday to Thursday. So that's something that you just talk to you guys about. If you guys change your shoes and things like that. So. But that's something you really do have to think about, and it's very important to have good footing.
Rashad Bateman had a couple nice catches end around, and it seems like he's kind of come on a little bit. How big is that for him in this offense?
It's so big. I mean, 2 big plays. The early catch to keep the drive alive, to go get the ball and take it away from the defender was just, you're not going to see a better play than that. It was great. And then the end around, so to speak, it's really not. It's a jet sweep type of play with a read option involved and a gap scheme. So, to be clear. But Lamar read it right and gave it. It's not something he's done a lot. I don't think he's practiced it even that much, the ball handling. But to have him be able to do that, maybe they weren't expecting it, But he ran around there, and I'll tell you, when he turned the corner and accelerated up the sideline, right, that was impressive, wasn't it? I mean, he ran by a couple guys, and he really showed some burst there and got up the sideline. They actually hit him out of bounds, got us another 15. So it was a huge play in the game that ran time off the clock, got us down in the deeper, and got us another score.
John, do you see, just following up on Rashad, do you see more confidence in his sort of trusting his physical abilities as he gets further and further away from the injury? Has that even been like a week by week season journey where now he seems more confident to make plays like that?
Yeah, I think that's really perceptive because, and it's not confidence in his ability. He's always been very confident. It's confidence in his just health. The fact he's been able to stack practices now and get a feel in the offense and catch balls and run routes and compete for balls. Football's a practice sport. We said that before. The more you practice, the better you get. And the better feel you get for the game. All those different things. And I would say it's just starting to kind of come together for him that way. And I'm hoping. I think the second half of the season for Rashad's going to be big. Going to be very successful.
Lamar talked after the game about the approach that Arizona took defensively. I mean, only rushing 3 or 4, dropping a lot of guys into coverage. In broad strokes, how do you guys want to attack that kind of defense?
You got to be patient. It was kind of a cage rush, a very physical rush, which Lions tried to do the same thing. Most teams kind of do that against us. Not everybody. Pittsburgh's different. They cage except for the 2 guys on the edge. They're just going. So different teams play us different ways. But you've got to be willing to check it down. You got to be willing to run it. I think you got to be willing to get the ball out quick. You run the RPOs, which we called a lot of RPOs yesterday. All those things you got to be able to do. In the second half, the run game kind of started going. And we were in a situation once we got the lead. We were able to do that. And that score at the end of the half even gave us a chance to probably run the ball even a little more. But you're always trying to find. Yeah, and really in the first half too, a lot of times you're trying to figure out what they are doing to you. Sometimes you got a certain play call, they bring a front up, it doesn't work, or they stem to a front, it's tough on the play. Or we try to throw a screen, and the defensive end, and the one screen we ran, there was a loss. I mean, he drops right to the screen. It wasn't something we'd seen. Was it even in their call, or did he just feel the screen? You don't always know. So it's never a perfect formula. Things happen, and you just try to navigate your way through it as a play caller and as the guys make the offensive adjustments in there.
Is that one of those things that Lamar, that is tried to focus on and work on from the standpoint of, I'm assuming it's a fine line between holding it too long and then, checking it down, as you mentioned, and so forth. And we saw him make some unbelievable play against the Lions, multiple times where he did hold the ball, and then yesterday, those really didn't materialize. So is that something, back to the question, I guess, is that something that he sort of is working on or focused on?
Well, yeah, I think that's something it's a fluid thing. There's principles to the plays, there's timing to the plays that are run, and then there's playmaking. Many times, Lamar and the guys he'll scramble to get yards, he'll scramble and throw and get yards, he'll hold the ball, step around, make a throw, or just the protection will hold up and he'll be able to hold it, and boom. The coverage is pried open and somebody is able to come wide open. We've seen that lots of times. Other times it just collapses on you. You're trying to hold it. You don't maybe see a guy, whatever, you get sacked. Sometimes it happens. The main thing in that case, we can overcome sacks. We don't want too many of them. You don't want them in critical situations. You don't want them in fringe field goal range. But you definitely want to hold on to the ball. And I think Lamar's done a good job of that the last few weeks, especially being conscious of that. He's also made plays, extended plays, especially in the red zone, numerous extended plays that you're happy with. So I think that's something that you just got to understand as part of playing the game sometimes, and just work on it and say, okay, in this situation, maybe the ball goes here. What do you think? And I really asking Lamar what he saw and what he thinks and why he did what he did usually is a really good way to understand it, because he sees the game really well. And he looks back, he knows why he did what he did and what he saw, and he's able to express that to you.
John, what is your next?
Sorry.
Go both.
What does your next 24 hours look like? Because normally you have your week-to-week rhythm, but with the trade deadline coming up, are you fully prepared on the game, and then Eric calls you in from time to time to talk about trade possibilities, or do you spend a lot of time in the next 24 hours focused on the trade deadline as opposed to the next game?
That's the first one. I'm working fully on the game, and then when Eric comes in and says, hey, this is what we got going, and this or that scenario, it becomes somewhat realistic, then we'll talk about it. That's how it works.
You didn't get asked about injuries after the game, which was a good day, I guess. But was there anything coming out of the game that you have to worry about this week?
Nothing major coming out of the game. We may have some hope when we're back. I talked to Tyus just last week, and Tyus was pretty optimistic, So can't say it's a guarantee, you know, because it's just kind of it's a knee that's a little angry at times, but who knows? Maybe we'll get Tyus back. We'll see how that goes in the next few weeks.
And you mentioned Pepe. Is Pepe close?
Pepe's close. Yep, Pepe's close. Ham's close. So you got to make some decisions there. Those are all good things.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.